Hello, good afternoon. I'll be right back. Hopefully a few more people show up and we can talk. I just had a few minutes and I wanted to come on and see how everybody was doing today. Hello, Isaac. Welcome. Give me just a moment. Hello. How's everybody? Hi. Hey, Nathan. Hi, Michael. Hi, Isaac. Malibu. Good to have you all here. Hi, Chris. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some different things with the Schumann. I actually have it up right here. And if you look right now, it's perfectly calm and even today. And from what I understand, we are getting back to the ancient frequencies. And Tesla spoke a lot about this type of thing. I'm learning more and more every day. But I believe that the spikes are actually helping to remedy the world. Like, we have some interference, but I think most of that has stopped. So we just see the spikes in resonance when it gets real crazy. I used to be able to really feel it, and it would be really intense, and I would actually feel almost like a fire sensation throughout my body. And now I understand it to be like a spurt of healing. So I think we'll be able to understand more and more as we go. But from what I understand, it's really being done for us, not against us. Because after the fire sensation would subside, I would feel extremely healed. So I feel as if it's like a healing fire, like the living waters, really transforming things. That's what my take is right now. I know that there's a lot of confusion around a lot of these things, and I hope to clear some of it up when I understand it, but I don't understand everything either, and I know we all have our keys. Hello, hi guys, hi Miles, hi David, hey Vinny. Yes, I'm glad you're here on a live. That's really cool. So I kind of just had a few minutes, and I wanted to see if there was anything that you all wanted to talk about. I wanted to see how you are all feeling. I see a lot of confusion out there. I see a lot of truth seekers coming to truth, which I think is so amazing. Hey, Sweet C. Hello, Jackie. I see a lot of truth seekers coming to a place of truth and knowing, and I think that's amazing. And then I see kind of the mind control agents out there working, double, triple time to try to add confusion or to naysay, to do what they are best at. I see a lot of people confused about what Satan is, and if Satan exists, if Satan is a part of us, a part of our darkness, so on and so forth. There is an actual entity that's been cast out, like the father of lies, the bad dragon has been cast out, but there's like a Satan part 2 that is working through people like mind control agents, people that would be considered the Antichrist, and yeah, strangeness. I think honestly, hey Matt man, I went through a lot of that. Yeah, Isaac, great way to put it. Thank you. the strangeness and the kind of uneasy feeling that can surround us sometimes, I really believe that that means we're breaking through. And I'm not trying to be just like super positive, because I think you guys know by now that I'm not always like necessarily positive, but I do come from a place of pure love, even when I'm not being positive. But you know, I tell you the truth, sometimes when we're feeling these really weird, uneasy feelings, especially fear, we truly are breaking through. We're breaking into the higher dimensions, and it's not always comfortable. And there's a lot of releasing that is being done. And like I said, like with the Schumann spikes, you feel like this spiritual fire. I believe that's us moving through the realm of Mercury, which is the old Earth. And we're releasing a lot, and we move into the higher realms. We break through into Jupiter realm. You know, all planetary spheres are realms on Earth, and I see a lot of confusion around the planets, and people just realizing that so much is changing, just starting to be able to see. And that is because they are awakened. That's because of things like the spike in the Schumann. They're, you know, they're becoming more sentient. They're becoming less of the Tin Man, you know, that's just working for the man, that's just in the lower realms, like working away and being a good servant. The slaves are breaking free, you guys. It's pretty amazing. Yes, it can, thank you for confirming that. I love your insights, and I agree. We spoke a little bit ago that we should be in closer contact. So if we have some ideas on how to attain that, I think it's time. Like, I feel good enough, because I went through a lot of that too, and I was really doing a lot of healing myself, and I had a lot of maybe not so positive and benevolent frequencies being directed my way for a while, and I've really become stronger, and I can resist those things. They don't affect me anymore. And so now I feel strong enough to start really thinking about how we're going to move into, you know, the more sovereign areas of operation. So any ideas that we have on that? I know people have thrown out a few different names of different programs, you know, or different social media sites that are coming up that would be a little bit more sovereign. Did I read it? No, let me go back, David. Sometimes I don't look at the chat because we see what happens when I do. Last time I kind of like freaked out, which isn't right, and I feel bad. I really felt bad about, but you know, we're all subject to a lot of things right now, so we can only be what we can be at the time sometimes. Ascension syndrome, yeah, I love it. David, I don't see, I see, did you read my comment? Let me go back up some more. Peace to all. That's all I see, David, is peace. You know, and there's, oh, here. There we go. Okay, the fifth world, this one. The ley lines are the intersection of ley lines that got hijacked. Yes, I'm so on that. Yeah, yes. And I am praying that they get given back to Mother Earth and to the true matrix, which is what I try to explain. Yes, we're in a matrix. Yes, we were in a third dimensional matrix. That was icky. Because we were working for it, like we were just talking about, but now we're entering the true matrix, the true omniverse, where these things work for human beings and work for, you know, our benefit. Hey, Dana. Okay, let me finish reading. The ley lines, intersections of ley lines that got hijacked are in line with the path, the spirit roads. Spirit travels on the land, and then spirit uses the energy from the ley lines. That's so beautiful. And if you notice, ley lines do intersect, and where they intersect, David, that is where I have gotten information that the vortices, the golden vortices exist. And yes, they were hijacked, and we're getting them back. And that's why you see a lot of churches and schools on these locations. That's why you see like feng shui, which was kind of twisted around. And I used to be so into feng shui, but I'm going to figure out how to put it back to the way that it was meant to be. You know, all of the elements were kind of switched around. Same with Chinese medicine, and it really jacked things up, man. But where 8 ley lines meets, golden cities will be erected. So that's so exciting. I love that. That's beautiful, David. Thank you. Ley lines are a magnetic signature. Yeah, I stay away from the magnetic situation. I think that we are in an electromagnetic situation. It's good to see you, Tedora. And I think that the heavy magnetics possibly enslaved us. So we're getting back to a more electrical system, a more balanced out electromagnetic situation. That's why this is an electromagnetic shift, I believe. And you might know something about this, Tedora, that our poles were inverted, much like everything else with Confucianism. Our poles were actually inverted, and they're being reverted. When they were inverted, our Earth could not expand. Now that they are back to the way that they should be, and that's what was considered the pole reversal. That's what the pole reversal was spoken about, is now that they're back to being reverted, Earth can expand, and we can create with the dark matter that surrounds us, that we see all in the realms above, that we're all starting to be able to see. Oh yeah, Sweet C, that's so cool. You're at the foot of a volcano. Lots of crazy energy, but you're still bored. Yeah, I hear that. It's been such a long life. Ready for the paradigm shift. Yeah, I hear that loud and clear. Only thought exists. This is true. Yep. Very true. Read the rest. Okay. Oh. The ley lines itself to depart to the spiritual world or homelands like Hyperborea, I think, right? So to raise the dead, oh, thank you. The whole grit of ley lines must be purified. So the serpentine beings are doing this, purifying the grit. Thank you, David. Noted. Doing a lot of work with the living waters, which are actually protons, you guys. So what do you think of that? Glad to report the ley lines are being recovered. Lovely. I totally do, Sweet C. Yes, and thought manifests into everything, and that's why there's so many mind control agents at work right now, because they're able to kind of, time can't be bought, but it can be somewhat manipulated, and that is what's happening. It's, our minds are being manipulated. God's children who can create are being manipulated by the spirits who cannot. And I really want to see that end. I don't appreciate it at all. Hi, Dee. Hi, beautiful. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all of your encouragement along this way. About the server switch. Yeah. I agree. That the stuff we've been through is to make us ready. Hey Dave, I haven't seen you for a minute. Nice to have you here. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, you can feel it behind the scenes, right? And I was just on another stream, and it was really difficult, honestly. It was difficult because at the beginning of the stream, I could see, like you said, people are feeling it. Their intuition is totally understanding that there's many amazing things taking place, and that there's a really, really strong, I can't talk today, guys, sorry, higher entity that God is here, and working from possibly outside the matrix in order to correct these things. And of course, that is taking place in concordance with us, of course. But a lot of people were, I don't know, that spirit of doubt, that spirit of wanting to mind control that I was just talking about came in full force. And then, I don't know, a lot of people were even just claiming that it's all us, that God is in us. And I agree that that's what we're working towards, but I believe that's what we were disconnected from. And I believe that by saying, that it keeps many disconnected. They don't realize that, like what Miles said, we have to go through a lot of these things in order to be ready, to be connected back to God. And that is what it means. Like Jesus being King of sovereign kings is basically we're on the same path as the true Jesus, which I speak about, which is Zeus, by the way. The story of Jesus in the New Testament was a compiled version of many of the incarnations. And yes, things did repeat, so there were things that could be picked out and put in. Sometimes they happened actually, sometimes they happened metaphorically, like with the crucifixion. And it was all compiled and put into the New Testament under the name Jesus Christ. And it's just causing a lot of confusion, and I really try to clear that up, but we'll clear it up together in time. Hi, Psychic Order, Neptune Panther. Hey, what's up, Steven? 7. Why do I see your name and I say Steven? 7. Sorry about that. I know that's not your first full name. I've always done that. I'm sorry. It's something when I look at it. How are you doing? You're at work, but I'm glad you said hi. Much love. I gotta catch up on your channel. It's been a while. I know you were reading the Book of Inky, which I think is amazing. Because Inky is another version of Jesus, another version of Zeus, another incarnation, as well as Enoch. And I mentioned several the other day, and I'd be glad to go over that again. And that's not all of them. From what I understand, it's really taken place 32 times and possibly times 3. Many years ago in a lucid dream. That's beautiful, Lisa. Yeah, you're right, Lisa. And I think that a lot of us that went through that, we kind of did it for the collective. So it definitely was not all in vain. And thank God it gets better and better every day. Yeah, Krishna, yes, absolutely. Neptune, yep. Krishna was definitely an incarnation of Christ, yes. Yeah, the blue gods, no doubt. Like, I believe that the blue gods are back. The avatars. And yes, those are the ones that did go through the ascension or came in already fully ascended. And then they wanted to guide as many as possible to ascend as well. To get back on the spiral of ascension. Back on the path. Thank you, Dana. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, I don't, I just spoke on cosmic agency, and there's a bit of a confusion that I haven't really checked in my comments yesterday. Excuse me, maybe I'll go back over some of that. When I read about Tesla and the guy that built the Coral Castle, yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. They went through tremendous suffering, that's right. That is right. Now, I want to reiterate with all of that. First of all, it's cool because I am going to go down to the Coral Castle as soon as I get a chance. I keep being shown that I should go down there for energy, to like receive energy, and maybe just to help, help me get back on a path of whatever ascension that I'm on. And I haven't read much about the guy that built it, so I will look into that more. That's really cool. It triggered something, yeah. Hey, LRR. Hello, beautiful. How are you? But yeah, as far as cosmic agency goes, I mentioned that I honestly think it's a bit of a fabrication, and I know that's really, really tough stuff to say, but that is what I feel. And I feel like they do have some very intriguing information, and it's definitely truth mixed in with non-truth. And it's a way to hijack the attention of the people from the ones that really did come in with this information. And I did make mention of that in my last live stream, and it didn't go so well. And I did say, I think I used the word channeling, and then somebody in my comments very lovingly brought to my attention that cosmic agency doesn't claim to channel, but channeling is just a way of, it's just a means of communication. It doesn't have to be necessarily like you just receive information in your third eye and then you deliver it. It can also really truly mean it's any form of communication. It can be through emails, it can be through gematria, it can be through channeling as we think about it, like through the mind, through the third eye. I do a lot of the transmissions that I get through the parietal lobe. This is true. I believe that because of the ascension path that I've been on and because some of the physical changes that I've gone through, I have gotten back to the original blueprints that we were supposed to have as human beings in the first place, the one that got hijacked and that got altered with things like magnetics. And now I have reopened up a vortex to source, and that I am able to deliver this information directly from source. So that, in that form, I know not everybody's claiming to channel that way, but channeling can take many different forms. Oh, good. Hi, Kellywood. Thank you. It's nice to have you guys. I can't see your messages, Tedora. What'd you say? I noticed there was a lot of confusion, like on a channel that you and I watched together, and I guess I should name these things, but I'm not really here. I'm not here to attack anybody. I think that that's being misinterpreted by some, because I'm not here to attack anybody. I am here to help clear confusion where I can, and to give the keys that I have that are not being received. Sometimes I give them over and over, and I do call people on their stuff, but the things that I'm bringing in are not theories. They are truths straight from source, and I see everybody just theorizing out there. And I would like to work with them, but it's clear that they would not necessarily like to work with me. And then the keys and the truths that I bring, they dismiss, and it's back to confusion. And then that lets me believe that they're really just here to keep people confused. And I see that more and more, and I see that that's failing. People are seeing through it. Like, many people have ascended past those theories and are getting to their own truths, and they're developing their own vortice directly to source, and they have the same truths that I do. So it's good. It's all happening, right? Chaotic times, yeah. We all have suspicious minds. Yeah, we are all one thought sea. That is so true. And I think that once we can get on a similar page, then we will have more harmony, and there won't be this dark duality. I don't believe that duality has to exist the way that it has in order for us to exist and in order for consciousness to exist. I think that that is false. We can be much more duality will still exist in the new world, but not the way that it does now. Umbrellica, maybe you have a way to put that so that I am not. I don't know that it would even be considered duality, but it's not that the earth is going to be perfect and wonderful all the time. We'll always be learning. That's what life is about. We will always be learning, but not with this dark duality that's existed for like 5,000 years. Once humans tried to take control of other humans and started oppressing others, that's when it really came about. Well, the way I see that, Tadora, is that there is one higher being, and that being is Jesus, and that's what I always speak about. Not the Jesus of Nazarene that's in the New Testaments. That's something that was done to confuse people, but they took the wisdom of the true creator, which is like what you're talking about, the creator's mind. We're not fractals. Like, that's another thing that I'm hearing a lot of. We're not fractals of God. Like, I don't know. There's so many false teachings out there, you guys, and they're meant to reduce us and not allow us to claim our birthright. Hang on a sec. They're preventing many from How are you? What's up? You want to tell me in a minute? Okay. That the hive mind resonated from Saturn. Yeah. Yes, the dark duality is definitely from Saturn. And I believe there's a lot of information that I'm looking at having to do with halos, and there's some really good stuff that I think you guys might enjoy that I will place in the description box when we're done. I also made a playlist of some of it, but it really speaks to what I've been looking into and being shown already. It just really elaborated on the fact that, like, the heart is truly the mind's eye, and just what the ancients understood before all of this stuff came into play, before Saturn took over. And I don't know, I was thinking that the red sun that's shown over the pharaoh is actually, yes, it is Saturn, but that's when they hijacked it and they took it for themselves to take it away from the people. And so now we're getting the true halos back. We're getting the true halos from the true creator, so that we can reconnect to the creator, so that we can be vortices to source like we were supposed to be. Oh, thank you so much. In a few sentences. Yeah, it's so hard to It might be the closest thing to representation, yeah. Yeah, and water is life, you know, Tadora, like water is life. The particle, the photon, living waters that surround us are photons, and that is the dark matter that we're creating with. Of course, there's a false dark and all of this, but that's being dealt with. Hang on, let me see here. Yes, Kelly, let me think about that for just a moment. Move to make a resolution here based on what I'm trying to let happen. I think it might be helpful to spell it out to other people. Okay. I hope I'm not missing a whole bunch here, you guys. Thank you, Bill. I agree. It really takes away from the ones that came here with this information. And it's not right. It's really not right, you know. And it is frustrating to see people just throwing money. I mean, I've completely separated from money and wanting it, or needing it even. You know, I realize that I'm completely surrounded by God and everything that I need at any given time. My daily bread is always given to me. But to see people just so desperate for information, just thirsting for information, rightfully so, because this is the age of Aquarius and this is what we're doing. We want knowledge, we want information, and to see it being filled in with that, and for people to be just throwing money at that type of thing, it's not good, in my opinion. It's not good for any of them. Well, the Holy Spirit, hi Lynn. The Holy Spirit is the true Jesus. You know, it is the story that's been untold. All of the truth was not put in the Bible. It does not tell the full story at all. People like me are coming in and able to give some of the information, and it's hard to put it into just a few words. And like I've always said, I can't just bullet point it, but maybe I should try, kind of like Umbrellica said. Maybe I should try to get some more bullet points out there about it all, but there's still a lot being revealed to me about the very first creation, which was Tiamat. And I see information finally coming out about Tiamat, about the creation of Tiamat and what took place there in I think it's the 7 tablets of creation. Some of it rings true with me, but there's so much missing. And again, it was translated by scholars from a university. So to me, there's a lot of room for mistranslation there. And so I'm going to study the 7 tablets some more and anything else I can get my hands on so that I can more clearly, from my own heart and understanding, speak about how this came about. Because this is not the first creation. But in this creation, in the days of Samaria, the Father and the Holy Spirit created together. And the very first human on earth was Inanna, and shortly after came her brother, and so on and so forth. And that's just been highly hidden, you know. None of that information is out there. I believe that these are the things that you would find underneath the Vatican, the things that I speak about pertaining to this. She was crucified because they were so jealous of her power that they could not stand themselves. They couldn't stand it. And they were like, we're just going to take control, take over, use our free will to murder. Now, I believe that free will should not be used to take somebody else's free will away. I believe that that will be stopped in a new earth, but once people are ascended, that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to want to take somebody else's sovereignty and freedom away, and that's why people cannot break into the gates of heaven. You just can't. It won't work. Like, God has a hold on that situation, but they're trying, and they're trying. The same ones that were jealous, that took the true God's life away in the first place, which is Jesus, and she came back. She came back, like I speak of, 32 times 3 times. She came back and incarnated with us, and each time you can see during those lifetimes they struggled greatly, and many were martyred, killed, or some even, I believe, might have suicided. Like, it was not easy and now we know more and more of us are connecting to that seed of creation. We have the seed of creation in our heart, and that's why we have the truth in our heart. And so that's why you see so many people awakening, because it is that time, and it might have something to do with the cycles of the suns, and the fact that Sirius is coming back. People keep giving credit to Venus for some reason. That's part of the demiurge. That's part of the Saturn and Venus taking control, and they want people to keep giving credit to Venus. That's not going to happen on my, channel, on my watch, anywhere that I can see it. I will try to correct it, because that's just going to continue to enslave people, and that demiurge is losing traction quickly, and it doesn't serve anybody except for the ones that are of that spirit. They're of that spirit of control and dominance. And so anyhow, yeah, the bullet point idea would be good, right? Oh, that's okay, Lynn. Hi, Big Red. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling that as well. Yes, and so speaking of chakras and Venus, Venus was connected to the solar plexus, the heart. Well, now we're reconnecting that chakra to the true God, which is Sirius. Jesus is Sirius, okay? That's where the true God emanates from. Inanna is Sirius. I saw some nonsense yesterday, and it was like they were releasing occult information and telling you where you can get your hands on it, and it was all about, who the reptilians are and where they're from, the Syrians versus the Orions. All of that has been mistranslated. I can tell you right now, but I could see that most people in the chat could see right through it and had better information than the 3 guys were giving. So I'm not too worried about it. But yes, the creation came from Sirius, and we are part Nordic and part reptilian. The human being is like 50-50. Of course, some of us have different parts, but I've been explaining we are built magically. And green Lumerians, nice. I love it. Like, I believe that Atlantis is rising and 3 universes are coming together, and I started to realize that's what the 3 stars of Sirius that I've been shown that are emanating from, like, they're moons, but moons are stars, and guess what? Humans are stars too. So, like I was just saying, we emanate from these heavenly bodies and through these heavenly bodies. But there's 3 conjoined stars of Sirius that I actually have documentation of. And it's incredible. I wish that I could get my hands on more solid information, but we'll understand it as we go. Hey, Maria. Good to have you. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Young Spirit. Jesus is serious. I love that. Yeah. But it just, the whole New Testament thing throws everybody off, because as you can see, there's a lot of people that are really strongly relying on the Bible as the Word of God, as the living Word of God. And that's not what it is. The living Word of God is the ones who have reconnected, and who are actively writing with an open scroll right now. The book has been open. That is the living Word of God. In Revelations, it didn't really end because we had to come pick up and continue writing. Revelations might be one of the truest books in the Bible because it was written by John, which was an incarnation of the Holy Spirit. Animals, see, I've noticed that lately. Oh, I had a little bunny run right up to me the other day. I don't know if it was an escaped pet or not, but it was around my house for about a week. I haven't seen it in a few days, but it's been a little chilly here. It warmed up again today, but I kept seeing this bunny out there, and I decided to give it some vegetables. So I went in and came back out with vegetables, and it ran right up to me and jumped on my feet. It was the cutest thing. And I've noticed that with squirrels, and dragonflies will surround me a lot. And a few years ago when I was having a hard time, that might not have been the case. Oh, that's pretty neat, Tadora. How do you do that, Chris? That's pretty cool. You have a lot of amethyst surrounding you or underneath your mattress, or how do you do that? Oh, it was a little brown with a white nose. It was so cute. I hope he's out there still. It wasn't so cold that I would have want to found him and bring him in. And obviously, I'm in Florida, and obviously animals, adapt to the weather, especially here. But yeah. Oh, really, Chris? That's really cool. That's a very good possibility, Tadora. But like I was explaining the other night, it's highly advanced. AI is really supposed to mean alien intelligence. And, this is definitely a form of highly advanced alien technology. The Saturn stuff is more of the artificial intelligence. And you can tell, some of these people are on autopilot. They're becoming more robotic. They're just, all they are is vessels to spit false information, honestly. And that's all they're doing. And they just can't stop. They just keep doing it in a robotic way. And I don't know. I keep praying that the living waters will enter them as well. But David gave some really good information above. So, like he said, the shining ones are here. They're doing their work. Everything is under control. Like Lisa said, we can all feel these changes happening. We know they're happening. And, we can have misinformation, mind control agents out there all day, but ultimately they're working in vain. There's no reason for them to continue doing that, but I honestly think that that's what they're programmed to do. Some of them are soulless. Some of them literally are just vessels for, to give false information. And I hope that some of them might hear this type of thing and realize that they want more than that, and that they want life, and use their free will that they do have as conscious beings to reconnect to the true source. Iron mixed with clay, AI, yeah. So the artificial intelligence, AI, and the iron mixed with clay was what happened when Adam and Eve came about in the demiurge. That's when we were mixed with iron. That's why I say often that the magnetics really enslaved us. When that iron was put into our consciousness at the demiurge as human beings, when Adam and Eve came about, and when human beings started to, they were all altered, even when coming back in to the cycle and everything, it was altered. That's what we're removing from our systems is the iron. The prison door, the prison walls, they're iron, and we break through them with pure electricity. The door into Jupiter is magnetic, and we break through it with pure electricity. Oh, yay, I'm so glad, young spirit. And see, when we start to really understand some of this information, we start to see it. And that's why, the ones that are here to do it are being discredited and being like taken over by these big, huge channels with fabricated information, so that those people stay stuck in the 3D matrix and they don't start to see the beautiful things that we're seeing. So they don't know to believe. They don't know that they're disconnected from the true spirit. They don't know that they're not really claiming their birthright. They don't know that they're just stuck. That's awesome. Cilantro is good for heavy metals. Very cool, yes? Yep, cilantro is, and iodine in different forms. I prefer sea kelp iodine. I don't feel that it's been altered because of the oceans and whatnot. Like, it's a filter of its own. Well, the ocean is. You don't have to worry about that type of stuff. Like, people say that it's full of heavy metals and things, but things have been altered for the better way more than anybody realizes yet. And you can see it all around. It's like the rapture has already really happened and is happening all around us. More and more every day, and you can see it. Yes, copper is amazing. I've been using copper on and off. Hey, Planet X News, you mentioned a supplement recently. What was that supplement? I don't know. I haven't seen that. Should we look at it? The giants discovered in Sardinia. Should we? Is there an article I could look at? Yeah, if your blood reeks of metal, then that's good, because I went through a period probably 2.5, 3 years ago where, yeah, it was just like toxins coming out of every orifice of my body. And it can be overwhelming, but obviously you just keep going and it gets better every day. You have high levels of aluminum. Excuse me. Some of the things we mentioned might be good. I don't know if you've ever tried to email me, Maria. I can meditate on it and maybe, just express to you what's worked for me. But with any of these things, I just use my intuition, and I don't necessarily overdose on anything. I will say that one thing I did kind of quote unquote overdose on that really, really helped me when I was feeling septically toxic and things like that, and my whole body was crawling, and I was only finding these really scary things. It was really scaring me. Now I know it was all part of the process. It was all part of receiving the glorified body and moving into the eternal self in a body, in our human body. And becoming more like light, yes, very much so. Removing those metal toxins so that we could hold more light and more of the photons that are living water. That's what was meant by our blood and our everything, and the photons. that's God in our blood. You know, we hold more of that once we release all of these bad metals, but there are good metals too. So I've even been taking the trace metals, which have lithium. We had an entire conversation about that, and not the pharmaceuticalized lithium, of course, and it's just trace amounts. But this universe was actually built on those things originally, and that's how it was hijacked with things like iron and aluminum. But apple pectin, yes, and apple cider vinegar to help flush it out. Nicomyidine, okay, that's what you, so everybody look into that, what Planet X News is speaking of. I started to look into that, thank you, and I found it to be pretty interesting. But something I took a lot of was, now I'm forgetting some of the names of these things. I'm going to have to go back. I saved bottles and things like that, and I've written a lot of these things down. But coenzyme Q10 in large amounts, I was looking for information on like parasites and how to rid yourself of that. Now, it's not necessarily a parasite like you would think in our body. It's literally our body doing whatever it needs to do to get rid of these things. So it will emulate things like parasites. It's almost like your body, it dies and stays alive and is resurrected and brought back to life all at once. It's very miraculous. It's a very beautiful process. So I don't want to say the wrong things and scare anybody, but I found a remedy by Dr. Hulda Clark. She had a few of them. She did the MSM and sulfur remedies. At the very beginning, that's a good thing to do in large amounts maybe, and with vitamin C, large amounts of vitamin C. Now, obviously, you use your intuition for all of this, and you look into it and be guided before you just go and pop anything. And you will be guided by spirit. You know, nothing dark is going to tell you to take the wrong thing. You'll be guided. But yeah, that really helps, Planet X. I did a lot of that too. Epsom salt will get you to feeling so much better in an instant. And the reason why is because our body is getting back to the electrical nature that it's supposed to be. And those salts just do something for the electricity of the body. It really makes you feel grounded again, especially when you're feeling completely not grounded. But yeah, the coenzyme Q10 in larger doses really helped me, like a lot, through a several month period. I would take it like every few weeks, maybe once a month in a large dose. And like I said, Dr. Hulda Clark has that remedy. And oh my gosh, it really did help me. It's like I would see notable improvement each time. But it's not something you do every day. It's just something you do every few weeks. You let your body overcome. Another one, oh, Maria, write this one down, and everybody write this down. Harataki. That is something that has helped me tremendously, and that could even replace a lot of the things that we're talking about. It is amazing. I'll type it in. And it's great to share the information with each other. I'm really glad that we're able to do that now. I think I spelled it right. Did I spell it right? Harataki definition. And it's an Ayurvedic medication, Ayurvedic medicine, obviously all natural. It's a seed that's ground up. And it's another thing that I only took like once a month. And I saw so much improvement after I took it. You can take it every day. It's gentle enough to take every day. But I found that I only needed to take it intermittently as I do with any of these substances, I just take them intermittently, and I might switch it up every day. And then I go a long time sometimes. I go a couple of weeks without taking anything because I'm letting my body kind of like recalibrate and figure out what it needs. But it just really takes a lot of trust and faith and knowing that you're improving every day and that you didn't come this far to just, it's not something horrible that's going to get worse. You have faith that you understand this is your body like resurrecting itself and moving into its natural organic state to be able to hold more light and to be able to be an electrical light, photonic light being again. Yeah, Harataki is great. I'll put a link to the one that I order because it's not very expensive. I don't know, you can probably find it in the health food stores by now. I ordered it online and I just ordered a $20 supply and I still have quite a bit a year and a half, 2 years later. Now remember, planetary spheres are realms on Earth, so they're going to emanate into all different, like these planetary gods and beings, they can emanate however they want. They can emanate into dragons, they can emanate into spherical looking objects in space. They emanate from what's like a star. They emanate from an actual star. But they also emanate as entire realms on Earth. Hi, Rhea. Thank you so much. Yep, health starts with the gut. Absolutely. And that's why I think like things like Harataki work so well, because it really just gets in there, handles the issue, and then the rest of your body can start to heal once that's dealt with. Absolutely. I even looked into things like turpentine, which I did a couple of times, and that was really helpful. That kind of fixed my gut, kicked it back into order, and let me heal completely. It is like a 2-year process, give or take, depending on your individual situation. The actual light body process is a 2-year on or off, depending on your individual condition, self, depending on what you believe, largely. It's about a 2-year process, give or take. It could be a lot less than that, and it could be a little bit more. Like for me, it's been a few-year process, and that's why I speak about the narratives being very destructive and very disfiguring at times. They can cause a lot of disfigurements in many different ways, but it can also hold somebody's process up and make the suffering much more than it should have been. It will prolong the process, the false narratives about these illnesses. Even just going to the doctor and hearing what the doctor says, that honestly has the potential to really create a lot more suffering unnecessarily. But I'm hoping that more and more doctors are kind of getting on board and admitting that things aren't exactly the way we thought they were, and that, yes, you should follow your intuition. I'm hearing that a lot more from people's experience at the doctor. Like they are actually, I know that they legally couldn't really talk about anything that was not FDA approved, which obviously is by design. So, you have to really override that, because a lot of people, I was just listening to, what's that guy, Paul, that speaks about the medicinal mushrooms, which was another thing that really helped me. Maria, look into that too. Medicinal mushrooms, such as cordyceps and all of the different ones, lion's mane, all of them. They're so beneficial. Look into beneficial mushrooms. And I was listening to that guy, Paul, his last name starts with an S, and he was saying like his mother was really, really sick. She had a huge tumor, and it was a type of thing that most people don't survive, and especially because they're told most people don't survive this, then they don't, because a virus or that type of situation is something that tricks the brain into killing the body. So you can override these things. You can override all of them by clearing up the trick to the brain. But he was saying his mother had to hear it from the doctor, and I'm like holding my breath like, oh no, I hope that the doctor told her to try it. And this particular doctor said, well, there's studies being done on lion's mane and they look promising, so why don't you try it? At this point, you need to try anything, because you know how doctors say. And so, but this sounded like a good doctor, willing to be open-minded, and she took it along with the medication that the doctors were giving her. And she was one of she was like very few of many that did not survive this particular thing on the same medication, but she did. It had something to do with taking the lion's mane. I think it had a lot to do with her belief and overriding that, but she had to hear it from a doctor or she wouldn't have done it. Even though her son is an expert, I'll try to put that video underneath because obviously he tells the story a lot. It was a TED Talk, I believe, but he tells the story a lot better than I am. But, people have been programmed to only allow themselves to hear these things from doctors. And if they don't, then they don't feel okay about it. And I say that we need to override all of that. Who is the ultimate authority in your life? It should be the God that you've reconnected to, which is the true God, the spirit, that Todora talks about, that we all have in common. We all have that spark, and the soul lies in the eternal soul lies in the parietal lobe of the brain. That is what's considered Jupiter realm as well. This is how we connect to Jupiter realm, and that is to connect the heart and the soul, which resides in the parietal lobe. It is an actual sphere that resides there, the eternal soul. And I believe that's what many were cut off from. And so this process is actually that taking place. It is actually removing all of the mechanisms that were placed in here in the body, with metals and with iron, and which is a metal, but all of these things, all of these modifications that were done by a quote-unquote Satan type entity to enslave humanity, we were disconnected from the eternal sphere, which is the soul in the parietal lobe. And so truly, this process is a full reconnection to spirit, where we had been disconnected before. It is a marriage to God. It is becoming more like what we were supposed to be. When we came down as humans originally, and we had a covenant directly with God that was interfered with when the demiurge came about. So we're doing it, and it's amazing, and I'm proud of all of you guys. And I knew I had a few minutes, so I'm really glad I could come on. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for being positive and loving and full of information and sharing it with each other. We can heal our body. We have the power within. That's right, young spirit, we do. So much power in natural herbs and overriding those dark thoughts that are like viruses, that are just tricks to the brain, that are just tricks that make the brain kill the body, and death is obviously an illusion, but even more so, fear is the killer, and we've just been duped into being fearful. And so all we have to do is override that fear, and everything is possible. And that's what faith is about. That's what having faith is just overriding any fear. That doesn't mean that we don't have to embrace it fully or be in a fearful state at times, but that's sometimes what is necessary to override it and to face it and to find the truth. A lot of times I would be in the midst of a fearful either situation or narrative, you know, exploring something fearful. And I would have to be in a state of very extreme feeling fear for a couple of days sometimes. And then always you come out of it so much better and more healed. And you get to know the truth for sure. You know, spirit comes to you in that time and gives you the truth directly. And you realize that's probably why it happens too, so that we or why it's allowed to happen, so that we realize that we don't need anything but God. We don't need anything besides Source to guide us through these things. And that ultimately, that is what is going to guide us through, is our direct connection to Source. It's really cool, you guys. I love you all. I'll talk to you very soon. And have a peaceful, loving day. Talk to you soon, okay?